Hello and welcome to GameSpot After Dark, episode 38, GameSpot's official video game podcast. I'm your host, Jake Decker, and joining me this week is Kallie Plaguey.
Hello.
Jean-Luc Seipke.
Hi.
And Timur Hussein.
Let me outside.
No,
Where are the people?
Don't let him outside. Don't let him outside.
Well, other than being trapped, how y'all doing?
Yeah, it's really hot.
I believe
lately.
the term is broadly fine.
Yeah, like generally, the sun is shining.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
it's fine. Yeah.
It is nice outside. Can't go too far outside, but
You know what? Video game sales are up. We are experts in the field that is most sought after right now. Video games are good.
Yeah.
Life is peachy.
I can tell you got a pop filter because that would have hit really hard. Well, actually, I guess you should.
You mean?
Yeah, you should
three of my
explain your
socks.
pop filter.
I'll show it to the camera. So I was explaining this to everyone. In our area, there's like a bandit couple that is stealing Amazon packages from various apartments, and they got us good, and they stole my pop filter. So I've had to reorder a new one. In the meantime, I've just stuck 3 of my socks on my mic. Which,
I hope they're clean socks.
oh, they're very clean. Yeah. I've designated these as pop filter socks now, so I don't wear them.
Okay, wait. So you have 3 socks though? What are you doing with that extra
So
sock?
I
that's
have a washing machine that I'm pretty sure is sentient and is eating like 1 sock per wash cycle. Because every
okay.
time I do it, I come out and I'm like, there's 1 sock missing always. So this is one of the rogue socks.
Or 3 of the rogue socks.
Yeah, 3 of them.
That's
So,
a good way to put those forlorn orphan socks.
Yeah, I've
Really
given
good.
them new purpose.
Yeah, and then you'll just have to get rid of them, I guess. You can pair 2 of them up and get rid of 1 once you get your actual pop filter.
Never.
Or you could make puppets.
Yeah,
You could
you
make
go.
sock puppets.
I'll just frame it and like put it up as like COVID pop filter, like a memorial.
Well, anyway, Timur, do you want to kick it off? What have you been playing this week or watching?
So I am on a intense come down from Final Fantasy VII review, and by come down I mean like I'm still playing it, but it kind of is a bit drug-ish where I'm like I should stop this, but I still need a hit of it. So I keep going back to do. So I've completed it a second time. I had a save that was like midway through the game that I picked up and just went from there again. And now I was doing bits and pieces just to kind of wrap up any essential stuff. There's a few extra bosses that you can fight and that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of weaning myself off of Final Fantasy VII as much as possible. Other than that, I returned to Doom Eternal. There's something about that game that just isn't clicking with me. I'm playing on Xbox One. So already I'm like on the back foot because I don't feel super comfortable playing that game with a controller. However, I do have the Elite. What's the new Elite called? Like Elite Pro.
Elite Pro 2.
Yeah, something like that. I've got that, and that's helping. That's helping, but I think this game it's like the very definition of overstays its welcome in every regard. Like to me, like it doesn't feel short and sharp, exciting like the first reboot did in terms of its skirmishes. The missions go on for far too long, and there's a lot of what feels like padding in it. But when the combat happens, I'm so into it. And then I realize, it's just I'm gonna have to do this other stuff that I don't really care about. I don't mind the platforming, but I'm just like, I just want to shoot things. And then like the missions seem to go on for like an hour at a time. And then the stuff in between where it's like, come back to your ship and customize. I'm like, I feel like you guys missed the point here. This should be like, this was like John Wick in its execution the first time. Like every scene is short, sharp, like has a punch, and they've turned it into like some really arduous. It feels like the Matrix now, where it's like trying to over-explain everything, and it's forgotten that it was just about shooting guns and dodging bullets. And
I like how you're staying within the Keanu
Keanu-verse, yeah. So, like, it's just every time I play it, I'm like, I'll do a couple of skirmishes, and I'm just like, I don't want to sit for another half an hour in this one mission. I'm done. It's like I'm forcing myself to go back to it. I do.
So it's
want. Go on.
It's weird because what you're describing is what I was worried that what would happen with Doom Eternal, at least for me. But when I actually played it, I thought that each of the missions were like really interesting. I had a lot of fun learning all the weapons. That for me, I like Doom Eternal a lot more than the original because I feel like there's far less padding.
Yeah.
Not that there was a lot of padding in the original Doom. I will say the stuff in your ship, like I didn't do any of that. I immediately just started a new mission. But I think another reason that I enjoyed it too was that I like only played one level a day. So I never really like OD'd on anything.
Maybe that's a good way to approach it. Because I do like, the other thing is like these days I'm more aware of time and I hate that I'm doing that. And I'm sure it's the same for you guys, but like, I can't switch off the internal clock in my gaming sessions anymore. Like I used to be able to sit in front of a game and just be like, I'm just going to start playing. And then I'll look at the time. I was like, wow, 7 hours have gone by. These days, I'm like, I can feel every minute pass and I'm aware of it. And I'm constantly like, is this the best use of my time currently? Like in terms of game playing, like, am I having fun right now? Though, like used to be like, I'd grind in an RPG for hours and hours and on end. And for some games I do that, but I think there's something about the way Doom plays that is just like, I can feel my internal clock ticking and I'm constantly thinking, could I be playing something else that is more consistently and immediately more rewarding to me? But I think I'll carry on playing it just because I feel like I haven't also given it enough time to get into a groove. And like
How
once
far
you
are you?
hit, I'm like maybe 3 or 4 missions in.
Okay.
Not that far, but I do like the combat. And I like a lot of like the kind of skirmishes they set up and the thinking that you have to do in the actual like movement and switching weapons and collecting ammo, that kind of stuff. So I'll probably stick with that. And then beyond that, I've been rewatching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood because why not? Good anime. It's one of Jake's favorite, I hear.
I was waiting for someone to respond with Full Metal Alchemist, but no one did.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah. So I've been rewatching that just because it's amazing, and I've over the years I watch an episode or a scene here or there, but it's been a while since I've done a full rewatch, so I'm doing that now. And then I watched a movie yesterday with my roommate called Confessions. So like we take it week by week. Like I'll pick a movie, she'll pick a movie, and then we watch it. And this week one was my pick, Confessions. Have you ever heard of this?
Mm-mm.
So it's this Japanese movie, which is a roller coaster ride. Every time I show it to someone, their immediate first words are, "What the fuck?"
Is this the movie that has a song by Tom York in it, Last Flowers?
Yes.
Okay. Because I remember the reason I know this is because it was years ago when you showed it to Lucy and she posted on her Instagram that she was listening to that song a lot.
Yep.
And I was like, I love that song and no one knows about that song because it's a rare Radiohead B-side. And she was like, oh yeah, it's in this movie Tamor showed us.
Yep, that's the movie.
Like, what the hell?
That's the only Thom Yorke song I know. So
Thom Yorke?
Yeah, I call him Thom Yorke. And like it's also got like the start of an XX song. So it like almost samples one of the XX songs in it. But the movie is basically about this teacher who has a young child. She brings the child to school one day and the child is killed. And she figures out that students in her class are responsible for it. So, and they're like, they don't understand a core conceit is the Japanese penal code basically forgives minors for literally any crime. So if you're in Japan, I believe it's still the case, you can commit murder as long as you're underneath a certain age, you won't be prosecuted for it. And she is like, I've lost my child, and she still wants revenge. And so what she does is, this is going to sound real weird and real extreme, but it works within the movie. she infects two of those kids. They at the start of the each class they give like juice boxes, milk boxes to each kid, just to like as a part of health thing. She infects two of them with HIV and has the kids drink them, and then says, two of those were infected. You know who you are. Now you get to learn the value of life. And it's just about these kids, the mental state of these kids unraveling. And it is a trip. It is one of the best movies I've ever seen. I love it. And it is a mindfuck of a movie. But it's also got like a message to it, and it's like kind of the cruelty of children, how screwed up the Japanese penal code system is, the value of life, and also it's like a revenge movie in the way, like, you know, it's not uplifting, but you feel kind of on her side because you're like, yeah, these kids are assholes. I hate them all. It's got like Death Note vibes to it. It's got like monster vibes to it. It's one of my favorite films of all time, and like my roommate Chastity, who you may know from GameSpot Universe, had the same reaction that Lucy and the GameSpot UK team had when I showed them, and they went, "What the fuck?" And then we're like, "That was insane. That was amazing." But yeah, I believe it's called Confessions in Europe and US, Western territories, and in Japan it might be called like Confessions of Moriguchi or Moriguchi's Confessions, but because that's a teacher's name. But highly recommend it. Very difficult to find these days, sadly. It's not streaming anywhere, but if you can figure out a way of getting it, I encourage you to watch it. It's a very unique film, and from the moment it starts, you're gripped. First time I watched it, and then I felt like I hadn't, like, no time has passed, and I immediately watched it again. It's that kind of film. It's like really, it's the definition of like gripping from the outset.
Tomorrow you should do a viewing party on the GameSpot Discord.
Yeah, I want to watch this.
I mean, I would be well up for it. We could even also do it on like Speed Zone Fridays.
Yeah.
Kallie, what about you? What have you been up to?
Well, speaking of Death Note, actually, my brother and I made my mom watch Death Note with us. So my mom is not totally new to anime. My mom actually was the one who like got me to watch the Pokemon anime, for example, but she's also seen a couple shows, including Food Wars, which is like probably on the upper end of like extreme capital A anime. So she's like prepared. But my brother's really into Death Note, and I'd actually never seen the anime. I've only read the manga. So we did like a Death Note watch because it's just on Netflix. And it was fun for me because I'm familiar with the Death Note music, but hearing it in context was really cool. Just with scenes I'm familiar with. The music is really like creepy and weird. And also, especially like towards the end of the show, hearing people's voices as certain events transpire is really powerful. The animation isn't great, though. I would say like the animation is not great, mid-2000s, whatever. But it was fun. My mom hates Misa so much.
Yeah, everyone hates Misa. I really like Misa.
I like Misa too.
There's actually a character in Confessions who reminds me exactly of Misa. And like, she's not roller skating or blonde, but like it's basically the same character. And like there's also a character in the movie that's basically like
oh my god.
So yeah.
Yeah. Light. just like, so that's fun. And I actually told my brother that the next thing we should watch, which he hasn't seen, is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So I think we're going to do that next. But I was also thinking, I was trying to like recommend shows that maybe he would like to watch after Death Note, because he's only watched a couple anime, like Death Note. He likes One Punch Man. So I was like, what if we watched like Psycho Pass or even like Death Parade, which I really, really like Death Parade.
Death Parade is great.
So that's what I'm up to. I'm still playing Animal Crossing, obviously. Yeah, I think like time, I definitely feel time differently right now. Animal Crossing really grounds me in like the days passing and makes days feel like segmented, whereas they could really blend together right now. And I am trying to spend more time outside, like in the yard. So my parents have a yard, which I never had growing up, and I don't have in the Bay Area. So I'm just kind of taking advantage of having the thing I always dreamed of having as a child, I guess. Because we can't really walk the dogs right now because the healthy one broke his leg. So I just sit outside now and watch as people go by, and I'm like, wow, you guys are really like outside, huh? That's what I'm up to.
I just want to give a shout out to Isabel for letting us know what day it is every day.
Love that. I also watched the follow-up thing for Tiger King, which was it was weird. Joel McHale hosts like interviews with people who were in Tiger King.
Is it the Netflix one that they added?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Every media site has been like, everyone is trying to get people from Tiger King on their podcast, on their night show, whatever it is. Whenever I scroll through YouTube, all my recommendeds are like, this character who showed up in one episode for 10 minutes is now on this, and you can hear the real untold story of Tiger King. And it's just like, all right, Netflix hit, and now you guys are trying to copy the success.
If we could have one character or person from Tiger King on this podcast, who would it be?
Saf.
I respect that. I think Saf would fit in.
Yeah.
Good hair. Yeah.
Which one's Saf again?
Saf is the one who got his arm ripped off.
Oh, okay.
And just turned up for work the next day.
Yeah. Anyway, Jean-Luc, what have you been up to?
I've been hard on that JRPG train post Final Fantasy. I feel like I have like a group chat with Ben Janka and Michael Heim and Matt Spinelli, and we are all just like simultaneously playing like 7 different JRPGs at once right now. So like I think like Ben's playing like Final Fantasy Crisis Core. Michael's playing like Final Fantasy 13.
He's playing Final Fantasy 13, Crisis Core, and 7 Remake at the same time.
Yeah, and Sakura Wars.
And Sakura Wars, yeah. That man.
Michael.
Yes,
that man is playing literally like 7 games at once.
Yeah, where is he finding all these like micro in between all the hours that we know exist?
I have no idea.
He just doesn't sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm not going that hard, but I have made like a list now because I think like eventually I'm replaying Final Fantasy with my girlfriend, and having a great time. Like you, I didn't think I figured I'd maybe be like a little bored playing it a second time. Like totally not. It's so good. Like I'm more than happy to play it again. I think I'm gonna play the original after that, just because of like I want that context, you know. I feel like now's the right time to do it.
You should play 8.
I would also like to play 8.
8 is like, I feel like I'm pretty good at pegging. Oh my god!
No, continue. Yeah, what were you gonna say? What was that?
The pause did not help. My brain was like. I feel like I'm pretty good at identifying what Final Fantasies people would like. I think you would like 8 quite a bit because of how weird it is.
Probably would.
And you and Ben especially. I peg you as 8.
Well, there's the title.
I actually I have been playing Final Fantasy 7. I stopped the original one. I stopped when I made it out of Midgar. But I saw all of that, took around 5 or 6 hours or so, but I was really enjoying that. And then I stopped because I'm trying to decide if I want to wait for Final Fantasy 7-2 and do that before I continue Final Fantasy 7 original. We'll see, but I took a break from that, and I actually started playing Chrono Trigger, which I don't have on my list for the first time, but I'm like 3 hours in or so. I'm not super far.
But still, what do you think of it?
So far, I'm really enjoying it. The one thing that's driving me crazy is that the directional inputs in battle don't always work where I want to go. Like I'll I'll like want to attack a character to the left and it'll go down or something like that, and I'll aim at the wrong character. I think part of it is because I'm playing with a control stick, like it's not as good as if I was using a D-pad, which I should switch to, but my brain is always, it's hard to do that. But so far I'm really enjoying it. I feel like I haven't played enough of it, but I thought the court scene was really clever. I think that was the moment where I was like, okay, I see why people were freaking out about this game.
Just you wait. Oh man.
That's what I hear. I hear it gets like
a tease of what is going to happen.
I'm excited.
How cool is that intro sequence though?
The intro sequence is really good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
If you like that, you should watch Dragon Ball Z.
I've seen Dragon Ball Z.
And the music is so good as well. Like I love that game so much.
Which sorry, you might have said which platform are you playing it on?
PC, Steam, which I hear is not great, but apparently they've patched it to make it better. I wish I could play on DS because I got it on DS, but I don't have my DS with me or the game because tomorrow. What's that?
Sorry. I was going to ask, do you guys know which translation is on the PC version? Is it the original or is it the DS translation?
I think it's the original.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
that's the one I prefer.
But I think they updated it as well. Like it might have been changed since it came out because I remember it came out and people were like, "What?"
I'm a weird purist because they retranslated it for the DS version. It's technically a better translation. But I love the original SNES translation because like Frog talks in like old English and it's something really charming about it that like even though the DS one's like technically better, I'm just like I want that OG translation.
Fun fact: one time I went to a conference in college about I went to like a talk about localization for Japanese games and like queer history. Just bear with me for a second. It was about how Chrono Trigger, I mean, the character's name is spelled Flea. I don't know if anybody pronounces it differently.
Right.
But that character in the original Japanese is like a very effeminate man, I think, or there's a problematic trans thing going on, but it was so hard to translate into English because of the way Japanese has like feminine sentence markers. Like there's certain ways to speak that just you can't translate really. And so that complicated how that character's gender was presented in the localization. So I'm curious if that's different in the DS translation versus the original translation. I haven't played Chrono Trigger, but I just thought that was interesting linguistically because there's difficult things you can't localize. So when Jean-Luc, when you brought up the different translations, that's what made me think of it. Like, I wonder if the translations were about like localizing it just as a better translation or modernizing it as well. But,
are you, Kallie, are you familiar with Legends of Localization?
Yes.
They're a fantastic resource for like cool little tidbits like that, like talking about subtle changes in like translation, and they go all in. The guy Mato, I think is how you say their name. They're famous for doing like the fan translation of Mother 3, I believe. Like they're if you're someone who like finds that fascinating, like the differences between localization and like changes, I highly recommend checking out their website where they just like post a ton of stuff, and they've done like full like books they've published on like Zelda and stuff like that. So
yeah, I just find it so interesting. Also, did you know that in Animal Crossing, Sahara and Gracie Grace are originally male in the original Japanese Animal Crossing?
Oh wow.
Oh, do you know what I was thinking about the other day, Kallie? This is very specific to me and Kallie, but this isolation thing happened as the month of us. We were supposed to re-enroll in Japanese classes.
We have been talking about enrolling in Japanese classes at the school in San Francisco forever, and we were going to do it in the fall, but we were like, that's like big game season. We won't be able to go to class or study. So we were like, okay, spring, it's our time.
Yeah.
Nope.
All right, well, let's keep moving along here. Jean-Luc, what else have you been?
All right. Let's talk about
All right, shut up, nerds. Let's move along.
So yeah, I've been playing JRPGs. I got back into Final Fantasy 14 a little bit. I'm very slowly trucking along in that. I finally got to like a different area. I'm still in that Realm Reborn stuff, so it's getting better, but it's still fairly dry. But I feel more motivated to get through it now, because I've like in feeling this like passion for Final Fantasy now because of a 7 remake. Otherwise, I've been playing Persona 5 Royal, which I don't really have anything else to say because I feel like we keep talking about it every week, other than like it's so good. You know what? It was me and Georgia when we started it. We were thinking like we were kind of nervous that we would be sort of a little bored of it because we're like, we played the other one and it is gonna be kind of repeating a lot of elements. Nah, man, that game still hits. That game still hits real hard when it's on point. Especially the first. I think the first arc of that game is unfortunately probably the best arc in my opinion. Like the Kamoshida stuff it's really messed up and really like hard to get through, but I also think it's like so well done and feels so personal in a way that the rest of the game never quite hits again, kind of intentionally, like because the whole point of that game is like the targets that the Phantom Thieves are hitting like escalate over time, and that's kind of the point of it. But because of that, like when it doesn't feel as personal or like as you don't feel quite that like level of like hatred for like the CEO of a burger joint the way you do for like your school's gym teacher who is abusing his students.
There's something
really
very
don't feel
visceral.
hatred for a CEO.
I mean, there's something more personal
just
and
the
visceral.
normal average hatred, you know?
I know, I'm kidding.
It's like you can hate Jeff Bezos, but if you knew there was like someone in your building that was like abusing your friends, it'd be a different kind of hate.
Yeah.
Or
totally.
stealing your packages.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think that game just really comes out of the gate swinging. It's so strong, and not to like diminish the rest of the game, like it's still so good. But like, yeah,
I'm gonna create a Persona 5 clone that's for like local crimes. Like people stealing packages, got to go inside the palace and change their.
Oh my god, absolutely! Yeah. Holy crap! Yes.
Someone playing like, or my neighbor who builds furniture at 1 a.m. in the morning. Got to go into his palace and change his heart.
The guy who
Phantom Thieves.
The guy who microwaves fish in the microwave in the office.
Yeah, in the office.
You gotta go change their heart.
Yeah. I love it.
Other than that, I've been replaying Resident Evil 4 for a feature I'm working on, which is sort of like related to the remake, kind of like how we'd like a remake to do. So I'm just replaying that. That game's still super good. That game holds up incredibly well. I don't know what I have to say about Resident Evil 4 that hasn't been said like a billion times on the internet, other than it's Resident Evil 4, and I still think that game has some of like the cheesiest dialogue. Like every line in that game I remember so well. Not just like the shopkeeper, but like all of Leon's stupid one-liners. The like there's a part when you meet Salazar, who's the like the dude who like owns the castle. He's like the like Napoleon looking character, and he says something to the effect of like, oh, like I'm here to like, he basically gives like a villain speech, and then Leon just goes, no way, bro. And, like, I forgot just like how much of that game is just like Leon channeling like this weird dorky, like he's like a dorky Solid Snake. Yeah. It's like what they're going for in that game. It's just so good. And the one thing, like, if they're gonna do a remake of that game, they need to keep that. Like, you need to keep that just like campy, almost like grindhouse type of energy that game has. It's so good.
It's like if this was a movie, he'd be played by Mark Wahlberg, just because of how like he can do secret agent, but also is mostly a goof and an idiot.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I'm trying to think of like, yeah.
Where the zombies? Where the zombies at?
Bingo. Yeah, that game's great. And that's about it. I don't have anything else.
Wait, hold on. Sorry. You've got Guitar Hero on here,
Oh,
a game
I
that
did
probably
put-
no one's talked about in years. And you talked
Okay.
about all these other games that weren't on here, but you haven't talked about Guitar Hero. At least
Okay,
give me like
okay.
one sentence.
Okay, so Georgia my girlfriend has been itching to play Guitar Hero. She like grew up playing as a kid, like played it all on expert. She's been itching to get back into it. Before everything went down, when I went to PAX, if you've ever been to a PAX, they like local retro game shops will like have booths there that you can go and like buy retro games from. And I saw they had Guitar Hero, so I picked up a couple of Guitar Hero games for her, and then she ordered a guitar which just arrived last Sunday. So she has been playing through all of the Guitar Hero games. I actually haven't been playing myself. I've just been watching her play on expert and being like, wow, you're so good at this.
So sarcastic.
Which is great because like oh wow. Play Green Grass and High Tides on expert for me. Ooh.
There's that one TikTok of that lady who just keeps seeing George Washington stand up, and she's like, George, what are you doing in my shower? Wow.
Or like the Kakashi.
Yeah.
That one's my favorite.
But yeah, it's actually just been a ton of fun like watching her play, like listening to some old like classic rock. It makes me really want to play Rock Band again. Dude, Kallie, you made a face. I feel like
You okay?
Nothing.
I feel like
What?
no, nothing. But no, I used to have Rock Band and I got rid of it a while ago. I mean, that was way back in Vermont. I wouldn't have it here anyway, but it really makes me want to like go to eBay or something and order like a Rock Band drum set and play it in this. You got to do something. If I'm going to be stuck in here, might as well learn how to master every song in Rock Band on expert.
Do through
On
the fire
drums.
and flames.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. Yeah.
We'll get to that. Yeah, we're about done with 2, and we're going to move on to 3. I thought 2 had the best track list, but looking at the
love
list, it's
2.
actually 3. I think 3 has the
No.
better stuff.
Oh.
3's got some bangers.
I'd have to look again. I remember always just waiting for like a Led Zeppelin rock band, but it never happened because Led Zeppelin was
Well,
like, no, we're not going to
they-
sell out to you.
They do not license their music. I can name like 3 movies that have ever had Zeppelin songs in them.
Well, the weird thing, I never played Rock Band 1, or not Rock Band 1, Guitar Hero 1. It makes sense now, but I didn't know about it. Most of those songs are covers in the
Yep.
original game. Because there was one in particular that like it started playing and I was like, this sounds just slightly off. Like the vocalists just sound not quite right. Because I remember that being a big thing with like Rock Band. I think they were like most of the tracks were masters or something like that. But anyway, that's cool. It's yeah, that's what happens when you're isolated. You break out the plastic guitars again.
Yeah.
I wish I had my DJ Hero deck, and I wish DJ Hero still existed. Whew, what a game. Underrated.
Well, I've been playing more Fallout 76. I don't know what else to say about it. Like I'm having fun with it, but it's the Wastelanders update doesn't add as much as it adds a good amount. It just doesn't really change things as much as I hoped. There's still lots of bugs. It is fun exploring that world. I have a video that should be out before the end of the week that you can check out if you want to. If you're curious about maybe jumping back in, that video is probably a good place to start. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of been what I've been spending most of my time on, and it hasn't been like it hasn't been. I haven't had a bad time. Like I've been having fun, but it also kind of like what Tamora was saying about like, should I really be spending my time doing this? Like, is there something else I could be doing other than this? And I guess the answer is no, because I was making a video. But at the same time, it was like, yeah, there's so many other things I'd rather be playing right now. That being said, I did enjoy my time with it. But the other thing that I have been playing here and there, which I cannot talk a lot about due to embargo restrictions, but I can say that I've been playing it, which is Gears Tactics. The review should be up early next week. Not by me, by someone else, but I've been playing a good amount. And all I'll say is that I am surprised by how much I'm enjoying it. Because I got to be vague other than that. But yeah, I think people who Well, I guess there's a new XCOM game coming out soon too.
Yeah, I love that they were like, Gears
yeah.
Tactics is it? Release the XCOM.
Like from Gears is a little more straightforward. It's still really hard. But like I said, I don't want to say too much, but I think people who enjoy Gears who enjoy Gears and tactical games will probably really enjoy this game.
Fans of the genre.
Fans of the genre, yeah, correct.
So, can you do a edit of the XCOM Chimera Squad art, but with Nina?
Wow.
Wait, what?
Oh my lord.
Oh, Nina-chan.
I'm confused.
Full Metal Alchemist.
Here.
There's been too much anime in this episode. Too much anime. Let's talk about something else.
Move on, I think everyone rightly goes to the Nina thing, but the Chimera, the bird Chimera, earlier in the season, that is as fucked up. The one that's what was her name? Rose?
I forget.
Where they transmute, There's a bird.
Oh, the impersonating her boyfriend or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, whoa.
That one is as awful.
Anime.
All right, let's get into the news this week. There's not a whole lot, but we're going to start with two big new updates that came out. Mario Maker is out today, Wednesday, and Animal Crossing will be out tomorrow, Thursday. So if you're listening to this on Friday, both are out, and you can mess around with them both. But the Mario Maker one seems pretty cool. You can now create worlds and then place your levels in those worlds, and people can go through them. Honestly, I haven't played much Mario Maker since it came out, but what I think we're all pretty excited for here is the Animal Crossing update. Kallie, did you want to break down what's new in that and what we can expect?
Sure. So the trailer for the April update detailed a number of new features and events. So the first one is Nature Day, which was hinted at before, and that's related to Leaf coming to the game. Wow, I should really back up though. So there's two new visitors, Leaf, the gardening sloth, and then Jolly Red, formerly Crazy Red, who is selling art once again. With Jolly Red coming, that will unlock a new wing to the museum. So there's a museum upgrade, and then there's also Nature Day, which is related to Leaf, where there's special Nook Miles events and other things tied to the Earth. Leaf also brings with him shrubs, a much requested feature. So people are pretty excited about that. So that's the immediate stuff that's happening. And then there's May Day starting on May 1st, which there was a hint of Rover actually coming back to the game. And then there's International Museum Day, which has this very Japanese stamp collecting thing where you go through the museum, it gets stamps and you get rewards. And then there's wedding season, which I love because it is so random. And you get to go to Harv's Island and set up photo shoots for Reese and Cyrus's anniversary. So the takeaway from all of that, one takeaway from all of that is that a number of returning characters have been confirmed. So Leaf, Red, Rover is soft confirmed, but you definitely see him. And then Reese and Cyrus, where they don't have retail, they're old furniture refurbishing flea market kind of building, but they are in the game. And that was one thing I was it'd be really cool if Reese and Cyrus could edit the colors of furniture that you couldn't customize yourself. How we're all please trade me for the cotton candy stall that isn't this color because it's not in my game. But so I'm okay, a Reese and Cyrus potential. But that's events basically that covers through June. So that's a lot of upcoming events that were revealed and new features. And the art, he still sells forgeries, so you have to check out whether they're real or not. And he shows up on your secret beach, so there's actually a purpose of that beach, which is cool.
I'm excited.
So excited.
I mean, I think we all kind of knew that they'd be adding a lot of these characters back in as time progresses and with updates, but to actually see them was really, oh no, what keeps happening?
We lost Cam.
I'll continue anyway. But to actually see Red back there and to see Leaf and to even see Rover back in the corner was really exciting, which I'm so excited to see what Rover does too, because Rover always has such an instrumental role in previous Animal Crossing games, like getting you set up or just helping out with certain things. So it was weird not to see him right away, but now that he's in it, I'm curious what he's gonna do. I'm still holding out for Brewster though. Brewster and the coffee shop are what I want the most.
I bet because it seems like they're reticent to add new buildings from what you already have. So I feel like you'd run out of space pretty quickly. I have a feeling that if there was a cafe, it would return to being inside the museum like it was in Wild World.
Yeah. So according to the data mines, that's what is being alluded to. Like there'll be 2 upgrades to the museum. One is for the art thing, and then one is for Red. They are data mines. So
I mean, one is for art and one is for Brewster.
Or yeah, one is for Brewster. They are data mines, so they may not be true, but like.
But a lot of it has been true based on this recent trailer. So the stuff that is confirmed is that one museum upgrade. So we don't know what's after that. But the interesting thing about Rover and him being in the May Day section of that trailer is that in Pocket Camp, so in like other main Animal Crossing games, Rover like was the one who asked you your name and the name of the town you were going to and did that like kind of intake questioning on the train or whatever transport. In Wild World, he actually wasn't doing that. Captain was doing that, but after that he did. But in Pocket Camp, Rover was more of a merchant, and he hosted I think it's Garden Safari event where you catch seasonal bugs that aren't in normal Animal Crossing games, so they're for mobile, and plant specific seasonal flowers that don't exist normally in Animal Crossing games, and you get Rover furniture. So there's potential for him to be more of a like actually roving and like doing things in your game as like an event related in an event related capacity. So Mayday was kind of vague. It was basically like you go on a special Mayday tour to an island that's not like the other deserted islands, and it was like a hedge maze, and there were items in the hedge maze, and then Rover's in the corner. So I'm interested to see if like Rover like dishes out the prizes or is somewhere this otherwise related in some way. So, but yeah. I'm excited because like that's a lot of stuff planned and a lot of new features rolling out, and like it was just events for June. Like who's to say there's not through June? So who's to say there's not more new features or other updates coming in the interim? I'm just really excited.
Yeah, me too. Next story we have here is Xbox Series X logo trademarked. Tamor, do you want to talk about this? Because I imagine you're the one who added it.
Yeah, I added it. Not much to say about it other than it's there. Like they trademarked an actual logo, and it has like Series X on it instead of just the standard Xbox logo. Looks kind of like an off-brand sports apparel thing, but whatever. I mean, that's pretty much it. If you want to see what the potential, so they sometimes like trademark a bunch of logos just in case. So this might not. I look at it and I'm like, some people are into it, and I'm like, cool. But to me, it looks very inelegant. It looks quite like I said, like a sports brand thing, or even a deodorant almost.
It does look like a deodorant.
Yeah. So like. I do wonder if this is one of like many that they're like trademarking just in case. If it does end up being this, you can do better than that, Microsoft. But whatever. That's pretty much it.
All right. Well, those are all the news stories we plan to talk about on this week. So we're going to move over to listener questions. And if you've got questions, you can email us at afterdarkpodcast@gamespot.com, or you can join our Discord. If you'd like to do that, please you can either email us or you can send myself, Jean-Luc, pretty much any of us a DM on Twitter, and we'll get you in there as soon as we can. But it's a good community so far, and a lot of people have been asking some really good questions. Mm-hmm. Do you want to take this first one, Kallie?
Sure. This is
from Triceratops.
Okay.
It's in the wrong section.
This is from Triceratops on Discord. What is the best opening gameplay of any game? Mine would have to be Zelda Breath of the Wild. Exiting, not exciting. Exiting that cave to see the landscape ready to be explored gave me goosebumps.
We were literally talking about this earlier.
In Slack.
We were, and I had picked this question before, and then I was like, I wonder if someone pulled that from the GameSpot Discord, but I didn't see any reference to it. So I was like, huh, interesting.
No, I think it was a coincidence, which is really weird. We were having this conversation in GameSpot Slack today. I don't know. This is a hard one for me. I basically... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say what I said in Slack, which is Mass Effect 2 is like the one that always stands out to me.
Yeah.
That intro with the Normandy getting destroyed. It's so like, because you're watching all the people that you like built that relationship with over like that course of that first game. And it's so good. It really just gets you like invested immediately out of the gate.
I was going to say Oblivion. I think that's like the first game I can think of that does that thing where it's like you start in this very narrow passageway and then you open the door and you open the exit and then there's just this, like Breath of the Wild, there's just this big world in front of you and you just, the possibilities seem endless. And there's so many games that have copied that. Like, I mean, not copied it, but like so many games do that as well now. And I just remember being so impressed when I first saw that.
I thought you were going to say that game's intro, like the intro video that plays where Patrick Stewart's like,
I do like the intro
close
video
shut
too.
the jaws of oblivion, and then the music fucking starts swelling, and you're like, yeah.
And then it does that flyover of the Imperial City too, which is really cool.
Yeah.
And it's playing the music. Yeah, that intro is really good too.
I've said it before, but I think Soul Reaver has one of the best intro sequences in terms of setting up a story, visuals, and that kind of stuff. But it's not playable. In terms of playability, I think Metal Gear Solid 2's tanker sequence is pretty fantastic. I think that contained sequence, the whole tanker, is one of the best stealth games in itself of all time. I just love it so much. And I remember getting a demo of it before the game came out, and I must have put 150 hours into that demo easily. And it was so good. It was
watching Ben Janka play that demo. He shows you like all the, because he's done the same thing where he said he played it like a billion times. He'll go in and he'll be like, I'm going to show you all the little tricks and like techniques and like things you can do, and it blows my mind how much little details they put in that.
The biggest crowd pleaser when you're showing someone off that section is towards the end, where there's like a series of rooms that is just filled with enemy soldiers listening to a briefing that's being projected on a wall, but it's like 60 enemies per room, all lined up. And if you know exactly how to, you can basically creep up behind very specific enemies and hold them up and then make them give you an item and then knock them out without anyone else in the room seeing you. And you just do that. And when you do that, you're like, oh my God, what is happening? This is wild, because you're just surrounded by enemies. It's fascinating.
I guess like on the topic of stealth games too, the Lighthouse mission, the first mission in Chaos Theory, I was super impressed by when I first played, because I think there was such a huge jump between Pandora Tomorrow and Chaos Theory in terms of graphics and gameplay and all that stuff. And when you get there and there's like this thunderstorm and rain's pouring down and you're on the beach as Sam Fisher, and it's just like, oh man, this is I'm in for a game, for a ride.
I would say my brain doesn't really remember these kinds of things, so my favorite opening sequences are when I get to assign stat points to my character. So I played the intro to, I played the beginning of KOTOR so many times because I just liked speccing my character, basically. That's a really boring answer, but that's my answer.
I mean, I like doing that too.
That's Dark Souls and Bloodborne and all have that as well.
I also really liked Control's opening. I think it's really cinematic.
Yeah. Controls is good. All right. Next question here from Didi, also from Discord. Can we pretend E3 is going to happen this year? What are your predictions by conferences? Microsoft, Warner Bros., Ubisoft, Nintendo, and Square. Was Warner Bros. Supposed to have one?
Supposedly. Wasn't that like a thing?
Or, I don't know. I figure it could take a while for all of us to go through our predictions on each of them. So maybe we'll start with Microsoft. Kallie, do you want to do Microsoft predictions?
This is so hard for me because I just can't even. I have a hard time pretending, but I guess Halo.
I mean, yeah, that would be there. That's bound to be there.
A Halo, a Series X stuff. Fable's
the one that I'd hitch my wagon to. That'll show up this year if Microsoft. I mean, Microsoft is presumably gonna have some sort of event around E3. I imagine we'll see a new Fable.
Forza.
If I guess the Turn 10 could do Forza if Playground is as rumored making Fable.
Mm-hmm.
But those simulation Fables, Forzas are not my cup of tea.
Yeah, I'd be more excited for Fable.
I think we'll probably get to see a little more of Senua's Sacrifice.
Right.
I hope.
Yeah.
And then whatever that new game Obsidian is working on that isn't the Honey I Shrunk the Kids. No, there's another game that they're working on. And it's not been officially revealed other than Major Nelson, shout out to the Major, tweeting at someone else being like, oh, that game that Obsidian's making, pretty cool, right? And then the other person going, yes, the game is cool. I can't wait till others see it. And you're like, you two both need to grow up.
Wonder how many papers they had to sign just to do that.
To do that. But yeah, they are rumored to be working on another big game, which I hope is Alpha Protocol 2. It's not Alpha Protocol 2.
Yeah, I was going to say.
No chance.
Alpha Protocol 2.
Absolutely no
Oh
chance.
my god, that would be wow. I'd be here for it.
Yeah, same.
That game had a lot of cool ideas. That was not executed great, but
Yeah.
I like to see that game get a second chance.
All right. Well, what about Warner Bros?
Batman.
What else
You
do
mean
they
the
have?
Batman game they teased like 8 months ago?
Oh my god.
Batman game. Well, I would say there'd probably be a game from Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And there'd probably be a game from Rocksteady. Because their timelines kind of are now aligning for that. I imagine there would be a Traveler's Tales Lego game.
Well, the Star Wars one's not out yet. That like open world
That
Star
big
Wars one.
Yeah. And then I don't know, maybe this is too many, but like that Harry Potter game, the Gears of Potter.
Gears of Potter.
Yeah.
What about like Injustice or something from?
I think
when was the last Mortal Kombat game?
I think we
Last
are
year?
due an Injustice, but I think the plan was to support MK11 for longer.
Okay.
That might mean they skip a year, but I definitely think there'll be another Injustice because that series just does too well, and it's like whenever they release a new one, it lets DC fire up a new comic kind of because the comics tied to that franchise are always doing super well, and they're always putting big talent behind it. The comic series that ties into Injustice is actually very, very good. So I imagine they want more of that going forward.
Ubisoft? Splinter Cell, of course.
Oh yeah, undoubtedly.
New Splinter Cell game.
When
Watch Dogs.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when is Watch Dogs supposed to come out? Wasn't that originally like March? Or like way
Yeah,
back
it
when
was
they
delayed.
announced it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
this was coming March, got delayed till I don't
I
remember.
don't know if it has a new date. Let me see.
Well, they recently talked about they will delay it. I think they said they will delay it further they're willing to delay some games if the consoles shift. Which is like, yeah, obviously you're not going to release a game into a world where a console that can't play it exists.
Right.
But yeah, Ubisoft, we're due an AC. We are, Watch Dogs probably. I don't think they'd have Far Cry in there as well right now. I think AC and Watch Dogs are probably the ones that they have side by side, and then they have, what was that roller derby game called?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
don't
what
remember.
is that called? I forget.
Rocket League Roller Derby. They have that coming. And then I don't know. I wouldn't put it past them to put out a Mario Rabbids sequel. I feel like that did well enough that they would be like, let's do it again.
Yeah.
And then probably one of their weird like RTS games that no one thinks about.
Oh, and just
I
Dance.
know.
I mean, yeah,
We're gonna-
I feel like in the past, Ubisoft, they're always the ones who hit like console launches really hard. Like they always have all their games are always on like next gen stuff. So I feel like
yeah.
they'll probably just hit the big stuff like Tam said, Just Dance and whatnot.
How many more years do you think they'll keep releasing Just Dance on Wii?
Till no one buys it anymore. Until then.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. Till nursing homes stop existing.
Okay, Nintendo.
Ooh.
I don't know if it will, but I'd like to hear something about Bayonetta 3.
Yeah,
Breath of the Wild
2 for sure.
Metroid Prime 4.
I hope so.
Yeah, that one too.
Where is it?
And I don't know if they would dedicate E3 to this, but I want to hear more about potential like re-releases on Switch, like Metroid Prime Trilogy remaster, or whatever.
Well, there was that rumor also of all the Mario games coming out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, there was a recent thing I think too about that. Like
yeah.
they were gonna put out
They're making
Land or something.
remaking 64 and
Yeah.
Sunshine and that kind of business. Mario Sunshine is not good.
We also
I
have,
liked it. I tried replaying it a couple of years ago. I admittedly did stop. It hit a point where I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I don't want to play anymore. So maybe that is a sign that it's not. But what I did play, I did enjoy it.
What were you saying there, Kelly?
what was I saying? Oh, the Pokemon DLC.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes they do stuff for games that are coming out a little bit sooner. Like they had a Fire Emblem had an E3 presence, and the Crown Tundra expansion for Sword and Shield isn't coming out until winter-ish. So
Did they say whether they're done with Fire Emblem now?
Oh, I think they've released all of the like stuff you could get from the expansion pass.
Right.
I don't know if they're doing another. I don't know.
I feel like they could do a bit more with Fire Emblem, like a big expansion.
I could see that, or I could see them doing another Fire Emblem game. Because I know it's pretty soon, but like that engine, they've built that engine. They've already made 3 houses, and I feel like on DS, Fire Emblem games come out semi-regularly, maybe ish. No, I guess not that regularly, but I don't know. I could see. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I would
or
say.
they could do a re-release of Awakening on Switch.
That'd be pretty cool.
Oh, I would be
know
well
people
into
would buy
that.
You know, people would buy
Yeah.
that. Everyone, I would buy that, and I already own it on a perfectly functioning 3DS.
I bought my 3DS with me to this country just because it's got Fire Emblem on it.
Yeah, I left my 3DS at my apartment, unfortunately.
Hate to see it.
Yep.
All right, last one, Square.
I know still a little bit.
Avengers.
I know. What's that one Platinum game that they announced last E3 or whatever that was supposed to come
Was
out?
it? Oh,
I forget what it was
I forgot
called.
the name
I know
of it,
the only
yeah.
reason I remember is because Michael still talks about it whenever he can, even though they've shown like nothing except for a trailer.
yeah. I think
Don't remember
Avengers
what
will
it's
be
called.
their big game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And they'll have that near replicant remake, I imagine,
Oh yeah.
that they announced recently. I bet you there'll be another big near game fairly soon. I mean, maybe this is it, but I feel like they're going to try and do a full-on new entry in the Nier franchise. Because Nier is popular now. What a world we live in.
Tomb Raider? It's been a while since Shadow of the Tomb Raider, right? 2017.
I feel like they'll give it a break.
Yeah, I think they're done with that for a bit.
Which is a shame. Because I'd be far more interested in... Personally, I'm more interested in more Tomb Raider than I would be for this Avengers game.
Wow.
I'm sorry, it does not interest me at all.
Same. Yeah, not at all.
The second it was like, oh, this is kind of like a Destiny thing, huh? I was like, I don't know. I'll save my thoughts on that.
Yeah, it has its own distinct, apparently, it has its own distinct campaign with a story, and it's got Miss Marvel in it, and I love Miss Marvel. So I'm willing to give
I
it
hope
a
it's
shot.
great. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. I hope it's great, but
Hopefully, they
let's
can
just
put
say I
some-
wouldn't be as excited.
Yeah. Put some souls back into those superhero eyes, though, because yo.
All right. Any last minute predictions you might have in any of these that you want to throw out there before we move on?
Did we talk about Microsoft or?
Yeah,
We did it first.
Sorry, Dee Dee, that I can't be more enthusiastic.
It's hard
It's also April, so I'm just like, oh no, too soon.
Do we do PlayStation? We haven't done PlayStation.
I think PlayStation was left out just because they're not at E3 normally, or at least they haven't been. But we can talk about some PlayStation predictions quickly. Bloodborne 2, right?
I have a feeling they might talk about the PlayStation 5 soon.
I hope so.
It's so weird because I don't think it was, but like someone was saying that they originally had like a grander plan for revealing like the controller, and then they just did like a weird blog post about it.
Yeah, so there was a Bloomberg report that mentioned that their plans have been a bit scarpered because of what's happening. And based on that, there is kind of like some indication that I've just noticed that XCOM Chimera Squad thing.
When did you screen?
How did you do that?
When did you Photoshop that?
Lord.
During during some of the questions.
Okay. Just tweet that out later. But yeah, I think because of that, there's some implications that there are going to be more announcements. I think at the very least they'll have something because we need to know more about Horizon coming to PC and that kind of stuff. Because the Herman Hulst, I believe it was Horizon, wasn't it? Yeah, Herman Hulst mentioned that. And off the back of that, I'm pretty sure that I'm convinced that the reason they're doing that is to drum up interest in a second Horizon game. It would be foolish of them not to put out another one of those games, and having it timed so it's like an early / launch PlayStation 5 title seems just like the smartest and the best way to get that console off to a good start on a strong like footing. So I imagine we'll see that. They still need to re-message some stuff around The Last of Us just to assuage fears and give people a reminder that it's a game that's coming out. So I think they'll do that as well. They're definitely going to show off the console itself soon. I imagine like Sony is a little more inclined to get involved with whatever E3 has become now, just because it's not E3 anymore. The Sony kind of part of it, them backing away from it, was a little to do with like behind the scenes ESA stuff as well. And now that ESA is basically falling apart and E3 doesn't really exist, and the timing necessitates it, I reckon they'll be around whatever the E3 style shenanigans that happen are. So I think we'll see PlayStation soon. Horizon 2.
Yeah, what are the odds that Horizon 2 is a PS5 launch title or something like that?
Oh, I don't know about that. It feels too early.
Does it?
I think it's there.
Horizon 1 came out in 2016.
Yeah. I think it will be. I'm not saying that because I know things, but it's just a gut feeling.
I think at least launch window, and like I feel like a Horizon game would be perfect for a launch of new console because, I mean, knowing Guerrilla Games, they're gonna make it look as beautiful as possible. They want to put something really shiny and polished on that new console. The only reason I'd question it is because the original Horizon Zero Dawn was very ambitious, and I feel like a lot of launch titles tend to be scaled back a little bit in order to hit that release date. So that's why maybe launch window seems a little more reasonable for me. But
I think there will also be like a concerted effort to do like a almost package up PlayStation 4 games that are high profile and present them as like best on PlayStation 5 or like improved for PlayStation 5, even if it's like small updates like Death Stranding, better loading times,
Bloodborne,
improved textures, Bloodborne, Bloodborne 60 frames per second, and then various other. Spider-Man has got that tech demo we showed everyone about the city loading in fast. You can play it yourself. And then there's other few things on the side that have a lot of potential. Bluepoint is supposedly making a new game. Holding out hope it's a Demon's Souls remake, but that studio I think has been biding its time to make something of its own. So I wouldn't be surprised if they announced like a remake and or their own new IP.
Yeah, because they said they're doing a big remake as well, right?
Yeah. But I also feel like they've been building up to like, hey, we can make our own games too, you know. I'm a real boy.
That'd be cool. I'd love for them to do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and they've certainly earned it. I'd love it if the game was just like a stitch together of different parts from all the games they've remade. It's just like,
So like the Metal Gear Solid 3
it's a snake, and his job is to defeat the Colossi. And
And watch out for Titans falling.
yeah, that's it.
Jean-Luc, do you want to read this last question?
Yes.
It's a bit long.
Hi, After Dark crew. I hope you all are keeping well. You all have gotten numerous questions about how to become a writer for GameSpot. I would like to know what it takes to become part of the video team and what you all look for in potential interns or hires. I've been in university for film editing, and I'm about to graduate. I'm scared shitless, like most kids graduating right now are. Sorry for the dangling
Participle.
Don't
worry about it. Nobody cares about those.
I recently made an analysis-style video for my games and narrative class on June 2016. It's not great, but I had a lot of fun working on it, and now I'm working on a video for a game called Refunked. I just finished my senior thesis film, but I just want to work with games footage. What do you look for in someone who wants to join the team as an editor, who also definitely works in other areas as well? Everyone says this, and I won't be the last, but what would be a dream come true? But it would be a dream come true to work with you, to work for you. Y'all are the best. Thanks for doing the podcast, even with all this shit. It's a real treat to have you now. And shout out to my top 3 favorite people, Tam, Michael, and Kallie. Y'all are the real ones. All right, well, I don't.
What's happening?
All right, well, I refuse to answer this question now because I was not mentioned.
Jean-Luc, you're one of my favorite people, as are you, Jake.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jake's okay.
So we've had similar questions before about writing, as he mentions.
I should say this is Adam.
Oh, did I not say Adam? Sorry, Adam.
Oh, yes. It's from Adam. We've had similar questions before about writing, and then we've had someone has asked this question, but Danny was on, Jean-Luc wasn't on, and I talked a little bit about it, so I kind of wanted to get Jean-Luc's take on it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, like, the big thing I always think about is sort of just your willingness to put yourself out there and just make stuff. Like, I mean, it can absolutely be like really difficult to make stuff on the side if you have a full-time job and you work in school. But I would really say, like, finding that time to make videos, even if they're not good, like, it doesn't matter. Like, what matters is that you're putting in effort and you're improving and you're learning. I started a YouTube channel with my buddies. We, were like streaming on Twitch. We did like a live show. We did on cam stuff. We basically just were like, we'll do everything. We will do as much as possible. And I think as you do that, you kind of like not only develop your skills, but I think you kind of like start to figure out what you're good at, and like then you start honing those skills. I would just say it's really all about just putting yourself out there. Learn. I mean, for me, like the thing that got me this job was that I knew how to use a TriCaster, which is a live broadcasting software. Not to say that I didn't have other skills, but that was kind of like the big thing on my portfolio that kind of gave me an advantage over other people. So learn as many skills as possible, learn unique skills, give yourself something, basically like put something on your resume that like makes you valuable above another person. Because I think if I was just somebody who edited videos on YouTube, like I wouldn't have stood out as much as other people. And I think it's because I like put in that extra effort to like learn a more niche software like the TriCaster that gave me an advantage. Yeah. What is going on?
Whatever you do, make sure you learn on a camera that doesn't overheat and turn off.
Yes, don't do that.
This camera's actually very nice. It's a
Bizarre
Sony
flaw, though.
a Sony A7 III, and like I gotta defend it because whenever it dies on stream or something like that, people are like, "Tell us never to buy that. Let us know what camera that is, so we never buy." And I'm like, "This is actually a phenomenal camera. The issue is that it's not meant to be on for long periods of time." But anyway, yeah, I mean, pretty much what Jean-Luc said. I think the biggest thing is figure out what you want to do and keep at it. Like a YouTube channel is a good place to start just because everyone's very familiar with YouTube. You can make videos, post them regularly, and then it's easy to share with potential hirers, employers.
I would also just add that in general, nobody starts out doing like the cool, like no idea starts out like the coolest, best idea. So like being able to workshop an idea, I think on our video team, being creative and coming up with creative ways to cover video games specifically for the video format is really important. But sometimes, I mean, we've all had to do this. Sometimes you just have to do, the basic plug and play story or the basic plug and play video and show that you can do the simple things really, really well. So that's another thing I would say for anybody who wants to get into this industry is make sure you can do the basics super, super well, because you'll never be able to go beyond those things if you can't cut a video together basically properly or put a sentence together properly.
Sort of also adjacent to that is like, don't worry too much about like how much like the quality of the tech you have. Like I think it's really easy to fall down a trap of like, well, I have to have a really high quality camera. I have to have like a really good microphone. I have to get like the best capture card. Like that doesn't matter at the beginning, because I think you can fall into that trap and then you can feel like, well, I just need to wait until I get like the right equipment to make stuff. Like you can make stuff on like a webcam, you can make stuff on your phone, you can make stuff just with like a basic mic. Like I just start making stuff with what you have and then go from there. Like I used to record video game footage off of like, oh my God, basically it was like I would plug the console directly into this like device that would record DVDs. And so I had to like, and then it would record on a small window in the device, like, cause my dad just happened to have this. And so I would like sit there like hunched over with this like tiny little box, and I would like play games like that, just so that I could capture footage, because I didn't have, cause this was like before commercial capture cards were a thing. And like and then I would like take the DVD and I would like put it in my computer and like offload the footage. And that's how I would record game footage.
Wow.
So just like, find what you have and just get out there and make it. Like I definitely do not stress like having the best equipment. Like I used to be like that, where I would fall into that trap, and it just prevents you from making stuff.
Yeah, to Jean-Luc's point too, I feel like one of the things that a lot of people don't really think about when they want to make videos about games or whatever it might be is they don't really think about voiceover. And like I personally, like I am way more interested in a video if the person sounds excited and their voiceover is good, as opposed to someone who's got a really nice setup doing voiceover but it sounds flat. Voiceover is something that's very hard to do, and it's something that you can't just watch a video on and learn. It's something you have to practice a lot, and it's something that I still, after 5 years of doing it, don't think I'm that good at, and I have been trying so hard to get better and better at. So it's one of those things that like with voiceover especially, don't wait until you have good equipment. Just start doing it now, because good VO can take you so much further than nice equipment.
Yeah, and also thank you for the shout out, Adam.
I was going to say, like, practice VO as much as you can. Like, don't, like, I think I struggle with it a lot because I only started doing VO when it was necessary. As in, like, I never considered VO as a thing that I wouldn't need to do ever, because I was always trying to be a writer. And now the times when I do VO, or it used to be the times when I do VO, is like, oh, you need to VO your feature or VO this review that you wrote. And then as I've started to like do more of it, now I just do it for fun and practice, like without recording, just so I can get used to speaking in that way. I'm still very bad at it, but it's a work in progress.
I I've been doing VO since the beginning of my career, so like I never want to go back and listen to those early video reviews I did, because like it's something that you just like, it's so hard to just be like naturally good at it. It really does take a lot of practice, and I also still feel like I'm not very good at it.
You can watch our videos by like a lot of the people that do it on our team are super good. Like, so if you need some kind of like examples, just watch a lot of those videos that we make.
All right.
I will say one last thing is something that I love about GameSpot that you don't get at every outlet is we have a lot of peer editing, and that it extends from editorial to video. And I thought of this because we do have people who are helping us with our VO. Like if Tamora or I, normally when we're in the office, if we go in to the VO booth, Jean-Luc or Jake or another video producer is going to be in there with us, catching our mistakes, asking us to retake lines. So enlisting the help of a friend to just go over your work with you can be a really helpful process in my experience. Like peer editing has been one of my favorite things about working at GameSpot, because you just learn something from being the editor and from being the receiver of that constructive criticism. So like having somebody check out your reel, or having somebody like, hey, I did like a minute of voiceover. Like, do I sound weird? Like, do I sound natural? Like just have somebody that you trust to give you that feedback. Cause I think that's something people really struggle with when they're starting out, is not really having anyone to get feedback from.
Yeah. And if you do want to share your work, somewhere and you want feedback, I'm plugging it again. You should join the GameSpot Discord server, because you've got a little promo channel where people have been sharing videos they've made, streams they do, and a lot of us have gone through and checked out a lot of those videos and whatnot. So shameless plug, but join the GameSpot Discord server. Speaking of shameless plugs, though, where can we find you guys on Twitter? Kallie, do you want to start?
You can find me on Twitter at InkyDojiko, INKYDOJIKKO. I haven't been tweeting a lot because time isn't real and I forget about tweeting. But I post a lot of like our Animal Crossing content as we do it. I'm really excited because Jean-Luc made a handy infographic for our Animal Crossing fish guide that I am obsessed with. I think he did such a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Just to help you identify the size of a fish. And so by the time this podcast is up, our fish guide will have like a special new upgrade. So that's the kind of stuff you will find from me on Twitter right now. Maybe a cool screenshot or two from my game. That's me.
How about you, Jean-Luc?
You can find me at Jean-Luc Seipke. My big thing I got going up is the Resident Evil thing I mentioned earlier. It's going to be, I replayed the game and I kind of dived into a couple of the big things that I would like to see them to do with that game if they do in fact remake it at some point. And yeah, so look forward to that.
And Tamora?
I'm on Twitter at TamorH. I'll plug a bunch of things, nothing really of my own, but I know it's just a bunch of things that we're making. We now have a daily news show that appears on GameSpot.com and also on YouTube. You can find it on this very channel if you're watching the video version. It's called Safe State, daily news roundup hosted by a bunch of people from GameSpot. I think the first episode's from Lucy, second episode's from Chastity, but you can probably expect to see some other familiar faces. Those will be daily, probably end of the day PT, but we can make it so that the content is relevant and it's just a quick way to catch up on what's happened in the day. And then we have Good News Gaming, which is a show that Lucy launched, which is kind of like the fun stuff that happens on Fridays. There's a new episode of True Fiction out that Kurt did, which has got all about Fargo, and it's amazing. So yeah, check that stuff out. That's pretty much it.
Cool. And then you can find me at Jacob Deck. And like I said, my Fallout video should be up now. So if you're curious about giving Fallout another shot, you can check that video out. Other than that, I'm cutting some video reviews that are coming up soon. So be on the lookout for that if you're curious about, well, Gears Tactics already talked about. And then another game, which we're re-reviewing, which should be a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that's it. That's GameSpot After Dark, episode 38. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.